Hi, this is David from Fumastra Management Consulting, and today I propose you to create an invoice in Microsoft Word using text for field and performing some basic calculation to calculate the amount, the subtotal, the VAT, and the total of the invoice. Let's include some text form field. For that, we need to have the developer tab active. If you don't have it active, you need to right click on your ribbon, customize the ribbon in the dialog box that opens, make sure that the developer tab is checked, and we click OK. We are going to use the legacy form in the controls group, and more especially the text form field, which we'll use to insert our content for the invoice. Once we have inserted our text form field, we need to right click on it and choose properties to open the text form field options, or eventually we can also double click on it to open the same dialog box and choose the different type that we want to have for the text form field. We can choose regular text, number, date, current time, and calculation. We will use, for the purpose of this template, regular text, number, date, and calculation. For this field, in which we will place the name of the client that we are going to invoice, we are going to use the type regular text, and we can apply a text format, which is going to be title case in this case, and we can validate it. Now, this same field with the same formatting, we are going to have it also for the particulars, in which we will list our different product or services that we are going to invoice. So for that, we can simply select the field, Ctrl+C to copy it and paste it in the different cells of the column particulars. Let's do that with Ctrl+V. And we are going to insert another field for the number of the invoice. So legacy form and text form field, double click on it to reveal the text form field option, choose the type number, let's choose the format 0. Eventually, if we want, we can also include the prefix that we want to have. If we want, for example, INV to appear before the invoice number, we can enforce that in the format. Let's click OK. Let's insert now our date field. Again, we are going to use the text form field in the legacy forms of the controls group. Double click on it to change the type that we want to apply, which is going to be the date. For date format, we can either choose one of the formats that are available in the drop-down, or eventually type ourselves the date format that we want to have. So let's do that and apply the date with a double D, triple M for the name of the month in short, and double Y for the year in 2 digits. Let's OK with that. Now let's include our field for the quantity. Again, legacy form, text form field. We can double click on it. We choose the type number, a simple number format with the 0 format. And what we need to do is calculate on exit. Calculate on exit means that when we exit the field, it will force the calculation of other fields that are depending on this field. So calculate on exit, that's quite important. We click OK. We can copy and paste this field in the other cells of the column quantity. So Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V. Now we are going to insert a field for the unit cost. Let's change the type to number, and the number format, it's going to be with 1000 separator. So we need to choose this number format. Calculate on exit, again, that's quite important. We validate that. The field selected, we use Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V to paste it in the other cells of the column unit cost. Now we are going to perform the first calculation to perform the product of the quantity times the unit cost. So let's include our text form field and change the type to calculation. Now the expression that we want to have will have to start with equal sign, and we are going to perform the product of, here we can use the keyword left to indicate where that we want to perform the product of what we have on the left, which is going to be the quantity and the unit cost. So let's put left, the number format we are going to use with 1000 separator, and we make sure also that we have the checkbox calculate and exit checked correctly, and we agree with that. Now we can copy and paste this field down. Let's now perform the sum of what we have above. So we can include our text field legacy form and double click on it to reveal the text form field options. Choose the type calculation. The expression will be equal sum of what we have above. Let's choose a number format with 1000 separators and have the bookmark name subtotal. So that's quite important. Now we give it a name so that we can use this field in the calculation of the VAT. Let's calculate on exit and click OK. Now we are going to calculate the VAT, which will depend on the subtotal. It's going to be 18% of the subtotal, and we are going to use the bookmark name to reference to that field. Let's double click on the field, choose the type calculation. We are going to perform the product of the subtotal and 0.18 for 18% of VAT. Number formats that we want to apply, it's going to be with the 1000 separators. Let's give it a bookmark name VAT, calculate on exit, and OK. Now we are going to calculate what's the total, which is going to be the sum of the subtotal and the VAT. So here as well we are going to use bookmark names. Let's double click on the text form field, choose the type calculation, mention that the expression should be the sum of the subtotal and VAT. Number format, we can choose UGX, and we keep only the format for the positive number, and we remove the decimals as we don't need them. We don't especially need to give it a different name, and we don't especially need to calculate an exit, as this is the last field, and this field won't trigger any further calculation, so we can leave it at this. Let's click OK and validate. Now what we need to do, we need to change those two fields, VAT and total, slight modification on the code that is applied to those fields. Let's reveal what we have behind those gray fields using Alt F9. So we have the different code of the fields revealed. We can go down in our document and we need to modify the code of the subtotal and VAT. Now we need to indicate word that those fields are a reference field. So we can include the keyword ref just before the subtotal. We select ref and subtotal and embed it into a field. So with the Control F9. Now we do the same for the other subtotal. Ref, we select the text and hit Control F9 to enforce the field as a reference field. Let's do the same for VAT, ref, and select the text, Control F9 to enforce the reference to the VAT bookmark name. Now that's it, we have it. We can hit again Alt F9 to go back to our document. And now we can use and try our documents. Let's apply a restrict editing. Make sure that we have the editing restrictions set to filling in forms, and we can click yes, start enforcing protection. Click OK. And now that it is restricted, only the fields that we have inserted in our document can be used for filling our form. Let's fill the form now and try it. Let's invoice Bob Enterprise. As soon as we validate the field, we can see that the format is applied to the name of the client with the first letter of each word being capitalized. The invoice number, let's choose 200. And as we exit the field, the prefix that we have chosen before is applied to the formatting of the invoice number with INV. Now the date, let's choose the 29th of January of 19. And as we validate, the format that we had selected for that field is applied as well. Product A, quantity is going to be 30, 20,000 shillings. And we can see that as soon as I validate the fields, the calculations are performed correctly. The quantity times the unit costs, 30 times 20,000 makes 600,000, and 18% of 600,000 makes 108,000. The sum of the subtotal and the VAT, 600,000 and 108,000 makes 708,000. Let's add a product B. And quantity, we have 10 at 40,000. Now we have our subtotal being 1 million shillings. 18% of 1 million shillings is 180,000. It's easy to confirm that the calculation is performed correctly. And our total is the sum of the subtotal, 1 million plus the VAT, 180,000, which makes 1,180,000. That's it. We have our invoice ready with the automatic calculation, and it works correctly. It's easy to make. You can easily replicate it also in your business. Thanks for watching.